You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. You know those long religious services you have to sit through every now and then? We can help with those. Also, a baby's first haircut, also known as your ticket to therapy. And did you really do that to yourself on purpose? Here's what I've been thinking about today. Everybody needs an editor. Everybody needs an editor. And I think I've done too good a job with my kids because we are recording this at the end of the New Year's holiday. And I really like what a lot of people had to say because it's customary at the New Year for several people to speak about inspirational things and reviewing your past and explaining the part of the text that you read and all of this great stuff, right?
Right.
However, we got out of services and each and every one of us said, you know, this could have been shorter and that could have been shorter. Could have cut the beginning right off of that. And bless his heart, one of the nicest people in the whole community sent a thing out ahead of time. And he asked for feedback and maybe he should shorten it. It was what he was going to read. And he is the nicest person, the sweetest, most gentle, most generous. And he sent this long thing and then he apologized for how long it was. And then he asked for feedback. And I wrote that it was very sweet. And I never in a million years thought that we would get to hear the entire thing again. You don't expect that. When somebody sends you something, you think, okay, well, that's the thing.
I would say, shut your matzo ball hole.
In person.
AKA shut your pie hole. You're talking too long.
Well, you don't get to say that. The lovely person who gave this sermon, a friend of mine, very smart, very interesting, great detail, with like a 5-minute introduction. And we're like, just do the thing. Just do the thing. One of the great things about doing this podcast is 9 recording sessions out of 10, I chop out the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, we kind of have to work into it.
Yeah. Well, on the air, like I'm going to be away this weekend and my radio show on Sunday, normally it's live, but I'm going to be away. So I got some interesting interviews and chop the heck out of those. But there's this little voice in me that thinks maybe I could cut more of it out. Maybe there's more. I've kind of gotten anorexic about speech making and recording. And if you're listening to this thinking, well, she could have cut that out. That wasn't so great. Bingo. Send me, you're fine. Send me a note. I am not wedded to anything that comes out of my mouth unless I'm ordering one of the kids or my spouse around or the dog. But if you're not one of those 3 beings, then anything else that comes out of my mouth, you can pretty well cut in half. It's fine with me.
My whole New Year's sermon was, thank you, I'm not dead.
Well, there is that.
Yeah, I lived through another year. And we should also say Happy New Year to, I guess, our druids and pagans who are celebrating the and then
The what?
the autumnal equinox.
Oh, the autumnal equinox. Does that come with a sermon? The druids and the witch?
I think they dance naked around forests and stones.
Oh, well, now there's a tough call.
From my deep research.
Do I want to sit through an infinite sermon or do I want to have to dance naked around a rock? I wonder what I would pick. The thing about the very long sermon is, and I've seen a lot of people do this, they bring something they do want to read and they just tuck it inside the prayer book.
Got to have a tiny, tiny, tiny little room to not be seen doing that.
Oh, no, nobody cares anymore. We all just do. It's kind of like, what are you reading? What are you reading over there?
Well, I'll tell you what, my mom, who is the first president of a Jewish congregation in the United States.
What? Oh,
Yep.
Wait.
Female
the first
president.
female president
Yes.
of a Jewish congregation.
Yes.
Okay,
In
all
the
right.
United States.
Right.
Yes.
The first woman in the United States to be president of a Jewish congregation
Yes.
in the United States.
Yes.
I'm glad we've clarified that. That took some doing.
Yes.
Yeah?
I know.
So what about her?
When the Detroit Tigers were in the playoffs,
Yeah.
she would have her little transistor radio with the
No.
earplug in everywhere she went, including Temple.
Oh my gosh.
And I have that little transistor radio sitting up on a table full of interesting stuff because a lot of people have no idea what transistor radios
I
are now.
remember those. They were about the size of a deck of cards, a lot of them. And they
Yep.
had these long, stringy things that went to an earplug. One, you got one earplug. You didn't get two, you got one.
Yep. One. My mom was like, her religion after Judaism was the Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Pistons. She didn't care about football, but her basketball team and her baseball team were all encompassing. Even she would even go to school. She was a teacher. She would even go to school with that thing and sit it on her desk, keep track of the Tigers.
You are giving teachers such a bad name right now. Such a bad name.
Yeah, she turned her kids into sports fans too. My mom was a good teacher,
I'm sure.
except when she brought kids home.
What?
Then we'd always be like all jealous.
She brought kids home?
Yeah, she would bring kids over to let them swim in the pool once they moved to a house with a pool, or for extra tutoring or whatever. She taught unusual children, unique children.
Well, I now that you make me think of it, we moved to the first house my parents bought, and I had to change schools. And my teacher from my prior school, who I adored, lived down the street, and I must have been the bane of her existence. I stuck because she baked really good cookies, so I would stick my head in there. Here's what I loved the most about her. They had a farm outside Manhattan, Kansas, and I got to go out there once and ride in the back of a pickup truck, which my parents would have just, I think they would have exploded if they'd known that I was riding in the back of a pickup truck. My parents had extra seatbelts welded into the car because God forbid any child should be flying around in the back of the car. And if
Even back then,
even back then,
I remember my mom closing the back window on my brother's head more than once because they had that seat that was facing the back
Yeah.
in the old station wagons.
Yeah.
And the window would always be down, and we'd be crammed into that back seat, all four of us. And one brother, who shall remain nameless, would repeatedly stick his head out that window like a dog.
Well, it sounds like he was practically headless, never mind nameless.
We would just laugh. No one would say anything. But it was touchy like a garage
It
door.
had power windows, you're telling me.
Yeah.
So your
And she
mother in the
was-
front seat could start to put and in those days, no safety features. If you guillotined your
No.
child, that was just your hard cheese.
There was no seatbelt. There was plenty of he's poking me, he's touching me, he's looking at me, she's kicking me.
Yeah,
All of that.
I think I'd put the window up on somebody's head too, if you want to know the truth.
I'm saying I can't really blame her.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of stuff that I used to think would send kids to therapy. And now I think, if your therapist is really any good, at the end of a year or two, you should probably look at him or her or them and say, a lot of this I just had coming, really.
Yeah, I know. My little grandson had his first haircut today.
And so you need therapy for this, or his mother?
He does.
Wow. Oh, he's
You
trapped.
would have thought he was being killed. I was watching. The stylist was being very careful. I don't know how she could do it because he's jumping all over the place, screaming his face off. For me, as you know, I prefer the long-haired hippie guys.
Yeah, but you're not dating your grandson.
And no, I'm not. But he was so cute with his hair flying all over. And now he looks like he's going to law school or something.
Well, now you know what to get him for his next birthday. You can get him a little
A wig?
briefcase.
Oh, wait.
A wig. Briefcase. There was somebody I read who had this business idea of like wigs for dogs.
You know what? We have a Trump wig.
For the dog?
Every single dog and cat on our property has had its picture taken wearing the Trump wig.
A gesture of respect and honor.
Exactly.
Of course it is.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely. I think everybody who admires and respects the presidency should wear
have a Trump wig.
Well, no, they should have a wig of whoever happens to be the president of the time.
What if the president's bald?
Well, they could have one of those fake bald heads. They sell those.
I actually think I have a picture of the baby somewhere, like just born with that wig on his head.
Fantastic. That'll be it. That'll be a birthday card.
We have no shame here.
I know
And
that.
it was a sign of respect.
Yeah, it's a sign of respect. So, did you take the little guy to one of those "We Specialize in Children" hairstylists?
He went to our hometown hairstyle salon or whatever it's called. And this is the same person who cuts my hair, cuts Eve's hair, and now she cuts Kane's hair.
Maybe. She's probably going into therapy right now over her experience with your grandson today. I mean,
She
those
did a great
scissors,
job.
those scissors are sharp. She's probably scared to pieces to go near a kid with the scissors again after what you're describing. I don't think any of us went to fancy stylists when we were kids.
No.
I think
No, and this haircut didn't cost anything.
because your daughter is friends with her, or because you spend so damn much money in there.
Yeah, between the two of us. I remember my mom used to take us.
Cereal bowl? Was it the cereal bowl over the head? Because that's what we got.
No, his name was Mr. Bruce.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, Mr. Bruce. And she would always have my hair cut short because she didn't want to deal with it because I had very curly hair.
Yeah.
Always. And I'd look at these pictures from like kindergarten and first grade, and I look like a little old lady.
Yeah, my
Mr.
mother one
Bruce
time
was-
tricked me. I had the longest hair in my class, and my mother didn't want to deal with it, and I ended up with a pixie cut.
See, I look like an old lady, like from the 50s.
Well, I can tell you this. I was nobody's pixie. I can tell you that right now.
I remember this one time when I had a hair appointment, and like minutes before, don't ask me why, I was doing one of those brilliant childhood things that you do.
Yeah.
I had a glass that came from, I don't know, my mom would get gas station glasses.
Sure.
You know, they're promotional.
Yeah, with Boza the Clown or
Yeah.
the Hamburglar or whatever they
Yeah,
were. Yeah,
whatever this one was.
promotional.
I put it around in my mouth
Oh,
and
no.
sucked on it
Oh, no.
so hard. that
Big
it
red.
had a circle. It was turned into a bruise, but first it was like bright red and all the way around, like from under my nose all the way to my chin.
Yeah, kids do that. Yeah, they start with the glass, they
Yeah.
move on to the hard drugs. If you have a kid, you're thinking, you're going through the list now of all the things your kids did that were bizarre that makes you think maybe your kid should also be in this special class. And you can think of those things, and then you can think of the things that you did, and then you can ask yourself, how far was it from that nut bucket thing that you did as a kid to the hard drugs? Just ask yourself that
There
question.
you go. Yeah, I was full of the nut bucket things, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And one of my brothers, I talked him into putting a bobby pin into an electrical outlet. That was a fine one.
The show that I've been watching, the Pit that I watched, the parents had ordered Chinese food for the kids, and one of the kids decided that he needed to eat it with a fork, and the daughter was bringing the fork upstairs, and something went wrong
Oh my God. Oh.
right through the nose. That's right.
Yeah, no, never carry a utensil with any kind of even dull edges when you're going upstairs.
Well, not if you're one of us, for sure. I'm sure there are people who've never fallen on a flight of stairs. A friend of mine who's a realtor had an open house around the corner, so I went to see it. You can see that everything is very, very, very expensive. Next to maybe putting gold trim on the kitchen sink, that they got it all in there. The one thing that I found fault with, they had the stairs all polished beautifully. And I remembered when we moved into our house and I had the stairs all polished beautifully. And then we started to have little mishaps, sliding down 1 or 2 stairs, sliding down 3 or 4 stairs. When my mother-in-law almost did one of those Dick Van Dyke falls, like whoop, boom. Things. Oh my God. I was in the carpet store so fast, so fast.
Well, Jordan, when he was little, put his bottom teeth right through his lip where they had to sew it back together.
Yeah, it'll happen.
He was 2 years old, running up the stairs.
I think
I
we
broke
sorry.
my butt falling down the stairs.
You literally broke your butt falling down the stairs?
Yes. It
Your
was
tailbone, you mean?
Yeah.
I think we've scared people sufficiently for this podcast. You're going to hear this podcast and you're just going to feel every part of your body going, did it heal right? Did it heal right? So I think we've done enough damage for today, Marcy.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to call my therapist as soon as we finish.
You're going to find out it was all your fault all the time.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to the Turi Writers She Said What podcast. Assuming you like what you heard, you might want to leave us a good review and maybe pick up my book. She Said What? A Life on the Air, which you can get from your independent bookseller or that giant website that sells absolutely everything.